What makes Christianity so special to you guys?
The historical evidence of what Jesus taught, the Sermon on the Mount. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You've heard that it was said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you to love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. The content of his ethical teaching is evidence that he's reliable. Secondly, the way he lived is evidence of him being reliable.
Yeah.
He lived up to that incredibly high ethical standard that he taught. He was no hypocrite. He never sinned once. In John chapter 8, Jesus could look into the faces of his enemies and say, which one of you can prove me guilty of sin? And his enemies were silent. In 1 John we read, John writes, who knew him better than anybody probably, in him is no sin. Well, if anybody said that about me, they'd be lying through their teeth. I got a bunch of sin in my life. Christ had no sin. Thirdly, as he's bleeding and dying on a cross, instead of cursing his enemies, he prays, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. At the moment of his most excruciating pain and agony, he's totally consistent, living with what he taught. But fourthly, and most importantly, 3 days after he died, he physically, bodily rises from the dead, and over a period of 40 days, Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15, he appeared to over 500 people who saw him risen from the dead. Those are the four pieces of historical evidence that convinces me that Jesus is unique. Nobody else has risen from the dead the way he did. He raised some people to life, but he raised them. Christ was dead, he rose from the dead. It's that historical resurrection that sets him apart.